Hello everyone. So in this particular segment, we'll be talking about the metro segments. These are all the individual structural units which have been joined together where it will be forming the whole pathway for the metro train for its particular transportation purposes. So let's see what this particular definition is got. Segments are superstructures of the metro work which carries the loads directly from the movement of the trains in a frequent intervals of time. So now repeatedly I've been mentioned previously also that there is out of frequent intervals of time, there will be the metro movement that keeps happening. So sometimes during the peak hours, for every 3 minutes, there might be a metro train in all of the metropolitan cities. And in sometimes in off peak hours, it will be there for 1 in 10 minutes or 1 in 15 minutes. If it is in outskirts, 1 in 20 minutes you will be having. So depending on frequent intervals of time, the movement of these metro train takes place. And when the frequency is also high, when the number of passengers in the train is also high, the amount of load that will be directly acting on these structures are tremendously humongous. So what exactly happened over here is these segments which have actually been casted, they are the direct source of the structural unit who will be carrying the load directly, and then it will be transferring for the substructures that has been there below. That is where these segments actually come into the picture. So now let's see what are the various stages that is there in these segments. So these are the multiple images that is there in one of the stages of all the segments that we have. So in the first image over here, you can see this is the BBS work, that is the bar bending schedule work for the segments. So once the bar bending schedule is completed, then we have the respective scaffoldings. So this is the whole cover of the scaffolding you can see. So what exactly happened? This is the inner portion of it. Can you see this particular opening over here? So that is the inner portion of it in an inverted way. So where it will be inserted, and then there will be an outer cover also. That is a complete scaffolding there. This particular segment will have its concreting work. So once the whole setup of the reinforcement having the cover along with the scaffoldings that has been placed, the concreting works starts. Now, in order to avoid all of these air voids or the air bubbles that is there, for proper settlement of these concrete, again, like how it was mentioned in the pier segment, over here, the vibrators are used so that the concrete is completely compacted. Okay, so now you can see this is the whole casing of the scaffolding work of the segments. Okay, now this is the top view image. Here you can completely have a look. The horizontal lines that you can see over here, that shows that it is a division and it is a separate one structural unit of a whole segment. So here you can have a look at it. There is one rail trail that is there, and over here we have another rail pathway. So these two rail pathways is how huge one whole segment will actually be carrying all of the loads. Okay. So then we have all of the ready, completely ready to move for this segments. All of these particular segments are transported from one place to another from the gantry cranes. So the one you can see over here, right? This is called as the gantry cranes. Gantry cranes are most of the time used in casting yards only. So they will usually have these two rails that will be set up over here. I think you can see in this figure, it is actually pretty much clear. So they will have a wheel that will be there at the bottom of this gantry crane, and then for the complete back and forth movement of all of these stacking of the segments that will be taking place. So it will be lifted and it will be moved from one place to another, starting from the reinforcement work, from the scaffolding work, as well as the ready-made segments also will be moved with the help of these gantry cranes. So once it has been done, then we have for the transportation of it. All of these particular segments must be transported from these casting yards to the actual site where it has to be erected. Erected is basically nothing but lifting up of all of these particular segments individually and placing them over here. So it will be placed one by one. Now you can see this particular pier. These pier constructions, now you know by now that all of the piers were completely ready. So this whole span construction have to take place. So they have their own, it is like a puzzle. So you know when there is one puzzle, the other puzzle won't really fit in there. It is very similar. If it is very symmetrical, that time with respect to their dimensions, it will be matched and it will be placed. There are few ways where when a curve usually comes, when the metro train is actually taking a curve. So definitely that time one side of the segment length will be less, the other side of the segment length will be a little bigger. So based on that, it will be like a puzzle pieces, how it can be matched by one next to another. Okay, so these are called as the girders. So girders are basically placed on top of these pier caps. So from one pier to another, and this is where these girders are there, the whole truck will be coming over here, and then it will be carrying 1 or 2 segments maximum. So that will be carrying forward one by one, and it will be placed over here. Then once it is all aligned in one single line, completely when it has been aligned, then the gluing of all of these segments takes place, and also the reinforcements will be inserted in them. So that is when the whole span you call it, it will start suspending. Okay, so this is the one that has been there over here. This is with one pier and the other pier. So when it comes to concentrating on the pier part, you can have a closer look over here. So the segment that is there on, that is resting on one side of the pier, one half of the pier basically. So when it is there with one half of the pier, dimension of that particular end segment will be a little small, because one pier cap will be bridging from one span to another. So that is where all of these segments will be coming into the picture. And this is the final image of all the spans that has been joined together, and it is ready for the railway movement. Okay, so since this is one of the last piers that has been set up over here, that is the reason the continuity of it is not here or seen in this particular image. So next, moving forward, we have an overall cross-sectional view. So this is one whole plan with respect to the metro construction works. So starting from the pile work till the segment work, till the rail movement, how it is ready for the rail to move. So till that stage, the whole cross-section of this particular images are there. So both of them are a very similar image. The only difference with respect to these two is this particular image has a group of 6 piles, and this particular image has a group of 4 piles. Since it is a cross-sectional view, only half of the members or half of the numbers have been seen over here. Okay, so over here now, these 3 units are the actual piles. With they are mentioned with respect to this particular figure, it is actually the diameter of 1200, and then over here we have the piles of similar diameter, that is 1.2 meters. So these are the group of piles where the amount of load is directly transferred from the pile cap. Pile cap is that structure where it is clubbing all of the piles together, and where the load is equally distributed. Whatever load it has been taking, it's equally distributed for amongst each of these particular piles. And then we have something called as the pier starter. So pier starter is where I believe in the pier segment we have actually spoken about, or what are the extra reinforcements that was actually been provided there. So from there we have all of these piers. Now this pier construction also takes place stage wise. So there is one stage where of concreting and the reinforcement works will be done, and then in the next stage the complete concreting of it will be there. Just in case if this is pre-casted, then directly it will be come in placed, that is the pier cap. And on top of that, we have the bearing pedestals, so that it avoids any of the horizontal movement that happens between the segment as well as the pier cap. And then we have this segment. So when it comes to the segment over here, you can see, again, this is the cross-sectional view. This is where the rails actually move forward, and any of the platforms that is there, right, that will be there at this parapet level. So this is actually extra parapet walls that has been put across, so that over here there will be movement of any man, and then along with the railings that will be provided over here. Okay, so some inspectional purposes, why is that this particular hollow space is actually left in between, just in case during these operation and maintenance time of these metro, all of these particular spaces actually comes into the picture. Okay, so that is where the complete inspection takes place within the metro rail segments, like what is the structure, what is the strength that has been taking, are there any defects or not. To check all of these purposes, it has been designed this way. So over here you can see right above the pile cap is where the road level comes, and right above the segment is where the rail level comes. So this is a complete overall structure. This is a complete overall cross-sectional image starting from the pile till the segments, that is where it is ready for the rail movement to happen, is what has been explained. So by now I hope you have a complete idea on how the foundation for the metro rail has been given and how the metro movement actually takes place. So this is where we are coming to end of the segment section. In the next segment, I'll actually be talking about the casting yard. So where exactly these segments will be casted, apart from segments, what all will be casted, and what will be the layout of this particular casting yard. All of these things will be coming into the picture, and that will be taught in the next segment. So till then, thank you so much.